Coming through in the drop top, pulling up to the party, yeah. 2020 the vision, I'm pulling the car, yeah. Blow it back up to wake up, make it back at the study, yeah. Get it started, yeah. Started. Coming through in the drop top, pulling up to the party, yeah. 2020 the vision, I'm pulling the car, yeah. Blow it back up to wake up, make it back at the study, yeah. Get it started, yeah. Pulling up to the party, you know that we getting lit. I told her shawty, she look like a lit bitch. If you walk her retarded, you know that we with the shits. Fuck around and get groovy, you don't wanna miss this. Cause I had to make a way. Got my drip up, the makeup for all of the rainy days. Can't slip up, they wish on. And if you love, can't come back here. Cause I've been taking chances, your loss. I know I was born to win some shit, little. I do my dance and make a movie, so pull up for me, cause I don't wanna think about tomorrow. Live life like it ain't nothing, party, jumping, get it started.
It's a party, everybody getting down on the dance floor. Yeah, it's a party, and they blowing on trees out the back door. Yeah, it's a party, and they trying to get low when the cops come in. Looking for everybody's got a case and it's all as black gold.
I wanna see you later. You want the night to end, better off as friends. Don't you just hit me, baby. We here on the dance floor, show me how it goes. I'ma be even greater than the last time.
At the end, it's a pot of gold. I'ma get easy, baby, on the road. The riches, I'll show you just how it goes. I've been on my last life, summer party like it was my last night. I done been through some shit in my past life. Curving nigga decisions can't act right.
Decisions I can't go back on. So much energy to be inside, so I run it until I get a G-Wagon. I just wanna get you near a cab.
Back it up, I'ma stamp it like padding. Stay still in my style and my cadence. Shut up, bro, with the place I was made in. It ain't hookah, so nigga, we faded.
On the top of the world, feel amazing. On up to my place, and I'm changing. Showing off, cause she won't be my baby. Changing, let's show you we can go places.
I think up to the moon, back to the stars.
I've been working long, baby.
I can party hard.
Tell them we just started. Baby, tell them we just started.
Coming through in the drop top, pulling up to the party, yeah. 2020 the vision, I'm pulling the party, yeah. Blow it back up to wake up, make it back at the study, yeah. Get it started, yeah. Started. Coming through in the drop top, pulling up to the party, yeah. 2020 the vision, I'm pulling the party, yeah. Blow it back up to wake up, bring it back at the study, yeah. Get it started, yeah. Started.
Yes, welcome. Thank you for joining. I am Lorinda Elaine. I am here with you at the noontime live stream. Getting better and better each time. So I had the tech difficulties last time. I had a little bit of stage frights, but we got through that, and God has given me another time and another opportunity to have a good time with y'all. So let's go. I have to explain something. I've been told I need to explain that outfit. I did say that I would explain the outfit, but let me see if I can share. Let me see if I can share. If I want to share the screen, hold on. That song was by Link and Savage Pop. That's my son Link and my bonus son Savage Pop. Uh, Let me tell you that story. So this was when God first kicked me in the head. My friend and I, we laugh about this. My friend said, "You mean when God kicked you in the head?" All right, cool. So way back, and somewhere I think the beginning of 2021, no, late in 2020, when I was first burning out on a job and I was thinking about what I was going to do, I needed to do something that I could have fun with, right? So my son and my bonus son and a bunch of my bonus children were in the studio at the time. So here I am, 40 plus years old. My life has not turned out the way that I want it to be. And I think that I'm gonna be a video vixen. Yep. You can laugh with me because it is funny. that I decided that I'm gonna have my second childhood, my second opportunity. I done missed the point when Jay-Z and 50 and everybody was doing their videos and I could have been on the come up with them. So I'm like, they gonna send me a helicopter. They don't even have to land. They just send the helicopter to Brooklyn, come back and get me, pull me up, and I'ma hold on for dear life. Like I'm gonna hold on to the ladder. I'm scared of heights, but I'll put that fear aside if they just send me a helicopter, throw me the baton, do something. So here's how I'm going to get seen. I thought that I was going to be somebody's video vixen, and I was practicing to that song. I had the choreography down. I was like, boom, boom, cat, like like Lori, the choreographer, boom, boom, cat, boom, boom, boom. And in the middle of all of that, God kicked me in the head. He reached down and was like, what are you doing? Like, that's for them. That wasn't for me. That was the blessing that God was bestowing on them. That gift of music, that gift of what they could do with this song and many more that they have recorded. God was telling like, if I don't get out the way, it came through like ludicrous. Move, get out the way, and kick me in the head. And I got this beautiful scar here on my bottom lip to, to show when God kicked me in the head, and I ended up in the hospital. Yeah, I did. I did. I did. That wasn't my calling. God was like, if you don't get on your assignment, if I didn't get on my assignment then and get out their way so that they could be the banging superstars that they're going to be, they are so amazing. They are so amazing. So that's the little story about how God was trying to tell me and I was not listening. I thought that I was going to be video vixen 2021. And 2021 landed my behind on a 24-hour hold. So yes, yeah. So that's what happened. That's what happened. So I sit here before you. I don't look like what I've been through, but that was definitely see. Look, I got my smile back. That was definitely a wake up call. One to be followed by another and another and another that brings me here before you today. So let's talk about the outfit that's in the poster. Let's see if I can. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can. And I'm going to drop the links shortly because I have a couple of special guests who said afternoon was the best time. So y'all let me know when y'all here. Drop a comment in the chat. Just say hi. Just say I'm here. Just say I'm ready. Say I'm ready. Bet. You could come up. I'm trying to pull up. I think it's this one. Let me see. I want to make sure I share the right screen because we don't want to go have y'all looking through my library. God is not through with me yet. Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. Y'all remember that old hymn? Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. Hold on. I'm coming through with a coming through with the picture. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, yes, yes. I'm still here. I'm still here. Still figuring this thing out. So I want to select the one that I want. Screw it. Let's just go ahead. Let's just get it from here because I do not know how to do this very well. See if I can enlarge it for you. Let's mess it up. Let's mess it up. Let's mess it up. That's what the enemy's trying to do for me. So this one right here, let me do it again. Let me do it again. I think I could do it. I think I can do it. So the picture, it looks like I am Harriet Tubman, Sister Soldier, Sojourner Truth, and Madam C.J. Walker all wrapped up in one. The picture that got you here, because you want to know why I was detained. I was running around trying to tell people they is free. I'm trying to share healing. I'm trying to I'm trying to encourage people not to give up. And they got me. They got me. Oh, I see where I could do it. They got me so good that I was detained. I was detained in New York by NYPD. So that picture there, the one that says you are cordially invited, and it has me sitting over here looking like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman. So I was detained. This just happened. This just happened. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? The straw that broke the camel's back was me getting detained while I'm out here trying to tell people they're free, trying to calm them down. Everybody is out here just on the brink of disaster, right? So hey lady, I see you. So everybody, I'm explaining the wardrobe option. I did not leave the house like that. I actually had that in a bag because I intended to stay out, but I didn't intend to be detained and held against my will. But that is what happens when you have a mental health history for as long and far and wide as I have. So people still don't know what to do with me. They didn't want to put me into the prison system because I have a mental health background that requires me to be what do you call it, evaluated by a mental health professional in order to determine what my needs were at the time and to make sure that I wasn't a danger to myself or to anyone else. And I really wasn't. I didn't even leave the house like that. The outfit that I had on, if you could see, I'll share it. Let me see. I just did this before. So look, if you see the outfit, right? I didn't do it. I didn't leave the house like that. I didn't leave the house like that, right? So I left the house. Okay, I had on the socks. The socks looked like clown socks, but I had on Uggs boots. I didn't have on. Oh wait, those socks wasn't even on my foot because I don't usually wear socks with the boots. Here we go. Those I didn't even go out the house with those socks. Those socks were in a bag in case I needed to walk on the floor. I had on a pair of Uggs boots. I had on the jeans, and I had on the. I did not have on the duster. I had on the blue and white, the blue, white, and black shirt. So I left the house decently. It was a pretty cold day in November, um, and I left the house dressed nicely to meet someone, and I got stood up. I was stood up. They left me. Man, I'm glad they didn't leave me at the altar, but they left me. They left me hanging. They left me hanging. So I ended up going out. I ate by myself, which is fine. I can enjoy some alone time. I have so many thoughts going through my mind at any particular moment in time that I can sit with myself and enjoy a good meal. I have no problem doing that. But I left the house to meet someone, and I'm trying to tell people, like, listen, this is a part of healing. You're going to be triggered. You're going to go through this. And if you have a spiritual relationship, I also tell you, like, consult your higher power. I talk to God. I talk to God all day. We have gotten very close since he kicked me in the head. And I had to go through even more, even after God kicked me in the head. It's a wonder that I'm sitting here before you, but I'm grateful because You just don't understand. Like there's so much joy inside of me that I want to give to people. And I just want to encourage people because we is free, but we have to start making some decisions that really and consecrate what we have and keep our privileges as they are. I don't want anyone to lose their privileges. I don't want you to be detained. That's why I say reach out to me as a mental health and wellness advocate, because when you have a history, a psychiatric history, is different from when you have other kinds of history in the system, right? So right now we're data mining. We need all the information that you have about your imbalances so that we can get the right treatments, so that you won't be locked up against your will for psychiatric evaluation when you know you were just shouting because you were angry, not because you wanted them to take you away. And I don't want people to stop operating on this thing between fear and anger. It's fear and anger, fear and anger. It's so many things under the layers, you know. So we're bouncing between fear and anger, and it's like you only have a little bit of space, a little bit of capacity, and then next thing you know, you're ready to flip out. Or in my case, my reaction to chaos is to flee. I leave. I leave situations. You look for me, and I will be gone. I will try to diffuse the situation, but if it looks like it's too much for me to handle, I leave it to God. I got to run. I get to running, and that's how I got detained. There were I went to a restaurant to meet someone, and I was in that outfit when I went to meet them, and I had on an overcoat though, so you would only see the bottom part of the outfit and my boots, not the socks. The socks were because I spent the night out, right? Listen, your girl don't be going out. Look at me. I'm in the house. I don't go outside that often, but I know how to put myself together. Please don't be afraid to walk next to me because of that outfit. That's the outfit I got. I got detained in, right? So I'm sitting there singing. I'm sitting there thinking everything was going well. And when I leave, I I don't leave quietly. That was on me. That was on me. I was a mess. I was a natural disaster. There was a storm coming through. That is how I left like a tornado, right? And leaving like a tornado, NYPD was right at the scene. Basically, they were only a couple of doors down and across the street. And they came running. And when they started running, I started running. Like I was running to get out the way. And they were like, Miss. And I'm like, Miss me with that. Because I don't know who they talking to, but they look like I was afraid. I had a little bit of fear that, you know, God rest in peace, George Floyd. But that incident is still fresh in my mind. And because I don't know what everybody else is doing, and I know I'm not doing anything to harm anyone, I didn't breathe before my natural flight reaction kicked in. And when my natural flight reaction kicked in, I started running. My story, my words. I want to tell you my story before any uh, body cam footage can be released. There may or may not be some footage that could have been embarrassing to me if I did not come to terms with it already. So some people, if you're running from something that happened, something that may have been recorded, it may or may not make the air, but you're suffering because you're embarrassed by it. Take it, own it, and laugh about it. You see that outfit? That was me turning mischief and mayhem into testimony. I am victorious over that because once I got to the psychiatric unit for assessment, there was no way that they were going to keep my black behind because God knew that I didn't belong there. And God got me a lawyer. I dialed up the phone. I called the lawyer. I told them this was wrong, that was wrong. I told them where I needed them to be, how I needed them to get there, and I took control of the situation. So if you're feeling like you need help getting control of the situation, my first my first tip for you And you can see the description, you can see the links in the description to get journals. Journal writing helps. Journal writing helps you sort through what is really important and what are the things that you need to shake loose. You know, you got sometimes your foundation is a little shaky because it's not built on solid ground. So you got to solidify that thing. You better put some glue, some filler, some cement. You got to solidify that thing because if your foundation is weak, anything you build on top of that is going to come crumbling down. So my first tip for you in your wellness journey, in your journey of healing, is to journal. Reflect on things. Reflect on what made you uncomfortable. Reflect on why you had that argument. Reflect on what you needed from that person who didn't show up for you. You didn't just need them to show up and stand next to you. You may have needed them to actually ask you the right question, or you needed to know what the question was that you wanted to answer in order to get the help that you need. So I'll put the link tree on my homepage because I have journals, but I also have free and affordable materials for individuals and families. Some of you may belong to a family with a person who is suffering from mental health disorders, who is in need of help and not knowing how to ask for the help that they need because they may be so overwhelmed that they haven't identified what they really need. So it's so important if you want to help your family, it's important to ask questions like very basic needs, right? Have you met your basic needs? Have you showered today? Have you eaten today? Have you slept? What time did you sleep? How many hours have you slept? Because some people are operating on very little sleep and not realizing just because they're awake that they're endangering themselves, right? Just because you're awake for 72 hours doesn't mean you should be. You need to rest and recover. Your brain needs time to heal. You got 120,000 thoughts going through your head at any given moment. I'm exaggerating, okay? But you need to rest and recover. So that's number one. Okay, your self-care routine is so important, and you have to celebrate the small wins, right? I can't emphasize that enough. Celebrate the small wins. Sometimes you're not going to make it out the house, but you may be productive in your house, right? Maybe it's not meant for you to make it out the house. Maybe you want to avoid the chaos that is the traffic jam and the midst of people who you don't really want to come face to face with. It's okay. Not everybody needs to be outside at the same time. It becomes especially overwhelming when you go out and you go to do a task and something's interrupting you. Something's messing with your peace. So many people are yelling because all they want is quiet. But when it's quiet, they don't feel heard. They need to be seen. They don't feel valued. They don't feel seen. So now they're showing up to show out because nobody heard them and nobody saw them when they were being quiet. Look around, you got a lot of people in your circle who they may be showing out because there's nothing else for them to do. Redirect them. Redirect them to sit with themselves. Redirect them to find some quiet time. Redirect them to an activity. Maybe you are the person who's most healed in your group. Don't keep it to yourself. Share. Share. I want everybody who's connected to me to be healed. I want everyone who's connected to me to be walking in this freedom. Freedom is a mindset. If you have that growth mindset, you don't keep it to yourself. You have the compassion for other people and you keep it and you keep giving it to them, keep giving it to them, keep giving it to them. Eventually, as you walk in your healing, others will see and they'll want that too. They'll want it for themselves. I want it for you, but you've got to want it for yourself. And they'll want that for themselves as well. Breathing. Breathing does so much for the soul. When you breathe deeply, it relieves so much anxiety. Taking a breath before you react to something. If you know what your natural reaction is, if your natural reaction, we have four that we talk about in the mental health space. Is the fight response, the flight response, and then they have faint and freeze. Those two are new. Usually, if you're in my generation or above, if you're Gen X or boomers and such, you may know about the fight or flight response. But now, as more data has become available, there's also the faint response where people literally just pass out from being overwhelmed, and also the freeze response. So I also freeze. I freeze until I breathe. That's why I've learned how to breathe. I dropped the link if anybody wants to come up. I'm going to answer some questions and ask some questions if you dare. Come on, cam up and be on the stage with me. I would love that. I would love you to join me. So when you click that link, you should take you backstage. Come join me. Come join me. That was a big gulp. Sorry. Excuse me. I'm a lady. I am. And so there are several breathing techniques that I want to encourage you to use. There's the deep breathing where you just breathe in deeply, exhale deeply, breathe in, exhale. And when you do that, I would suggest doing it in an area of your own, because if you do it in public, people might think there's something more wrong with you than what you're dealing with, and it can come off as a little bit aggressive because that looks like somebody gearing up to do something, but it's really calming when you do it because you're inhaling a lot of oxygen and you're breathing out, and it's so freeing because it sends oxygen to your brain, it sends oxygen to places in your body that you haven't felt it. It's good to use when you're exercising or walking really fast. When you do brisk walking also helps. Welcome back, boo. Come join me. I dropped the link. Join me on stage. Come talk to me. It's Christmas Day, and I'm here for my people, and I'm here with my people. I'm looking for my community. That's why I dropped it on Christmas Day. I dropped it for practice. I dropped this live stream to explain what I was wearing. Did you miss me telling about what I was wearing, how I was out there? I was out here looking like Sojourner Truth, Madam C.J. Walker, and Harriet Tubman all rolled up into one. Oh, I brought this too. Let me show you. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me see. You ready? You ready for this? Yeah. That was that was kind of like I didn't have my hair fixed this way, but this was my Harriet Tubman get up. I'm like, you is free. You is free. Come this way. I'm around New York, sitting here in Brooklyn, like, come, let me show you. Well, if you come up, I'll tell you. If you come up, I'll tell you the story of how I got detained. I'll repeat it for anyone who just joined, but only if you come join me. That's my sister friend I'm talking to. Will you come? Will there be one? Will you come join me? Okay, fine. I'll move on. I'll wait. Okay, I'll move on. Or I'll wait. Okay, I'll get to the next part. So, another benefit of journal writing is exploring your dreams and aspirations. Please know Dreams don't expire. There's no definite period in which you can aspire to your dreams, right? And journal writing is often used to hone in and get inspired and be creative. Nowadays, there are so many ways that you can achieve what you may have dreamed about 20 years ago. There's a Chinese proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Do you understand? Dreams don't expire. You may have forgotten about something that you wanted to do 20 years ago, and here you have the time and the capacity to make that dream come true. So why are you out there bouncing between fear and anger, getting mad or being scared about things that are going on now when you can hone in on what you love and what hasn't expired? How does Langston Hughes say it? Where does a dream go? Does it wither up and die? No, it doesn't wither up and die. You just have to take it out of that old soil, put it in a new fresh pot, add some sunlight and some water to that new fresh soil, and watch that baby blossom. So don't forget, dreams don't expire, they evolve. As time goes on, the more creative you become, the more you start to think of other opportunities to make your dream come true. This was a dream of mine. Several years ago, I was talking about doing my podcast, but the time and the money were at odds. When I had time, it's usually because I didn't have money. And when I had money, I didn't usually make the time to actually sit down and water my plants myself, you know? I was out there watering other people's plants. It was a good time though. It was a good time. God is not through with me yet. So I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that go. So listen, that is my advice to you. And I'm not really giving advice. Like, that's just a tip. That is a tip to say, don't let your dreams die. And I remember talking to someone several years ago. It was at the end of 2019 or early 2020, before the great shutdown. At some point before the great shutdown, I was talking to someone, and it was a work colleague. It was a work colleague. And she's a bit older than me, but the way that I was talking, she looked at me and she said, "Why are you talking like it's over for you?" And honestly, in this past year of thinking about loss and grieving and going through all these processes to regain the bits of me that were good and let go of the bits of me that did no good, um, I thought about that. I thought about that. Why am I speaking like it's over? I was speaking like it was over because that's how I felt. I felt like I had failed. And I did fail myself by even speaking to that degree about being stuck in this job that I knew would be a dead end job, taking this job because of the income that I needed to make things suffice. I wasn't even seeking abundant living, I was just seeking sufficiency. And that was sad. And she was sad for me. She expressed sadness when she said to me, why are you speaking like it's over, like your life is over? You can be walking into something great, but you don't even look like you're looking for it. And I didn't look like I was looking for it. I don't look like what I've been through. And that's by the grace of God. By his grace and mercy, I've been set free. And that's why I was sitting around trying to tell other people like Harriet Tubman, like, we are free to dream again. If you haven't been dreaming, I would suggest you pick up dreaming. Dreaming does the heart good. Dreaming does the soul good. Like something happens, like your whole energy changes. Your body, you want to sit up taller. You want to speak goodness into other people. I wasn't speaking goodness into other people. During the great shutdown, I'm going to admit something. And it's okay because I accept that this is what I was doing. At the end of 2019, I had I don't even want to say like a bad breakup because it wasn't a real relationship, but I had severed ties with someone who had been there condoning my mess, right? So I was in my mess and he joined in on my mess and we had a real good time. I used to call him Bobby. I was singing like Whitney Houston, having a good time, and then we were fighting like Whitney and Bobby, and I let it go. I said there was an expiration on that. There had to be a stop. There had to be a stop. But I will always remember him fondly because we had a great time, right? So at the end of 2019, I was alone again and I had gotten sick. And I got sick with that virus that later we came to know before the shutdown, right? I was really sick. I was really sick, and nobody could tell me exactly what it was. They just knew that it was some kind of respiratory illness, and they treated it as such. And over the course of the end of 2019, the holiday season, which now 4 years later, I can sit here and say, is it 4 years? Yes, it's 4 years. I had to do the math in my head. Sometimes the math don't be mathing, but I can say I was I was headed I was headed to no man's land. I was headed to listen. I was waking up playing DMX 24 hours to live. Like this is how deep it was. If you got 24 hours to live, what would you do? Where would you go? Da da da. I was bad. I was bad, and I was under bad leadership too. So when I got up and I got dressed, sometimes I would just put on my Brooklyn uniform. It would be a button-up shirt, a pair of jeans, and my Timbs. Because if you're gonna be a bad leader, I'm gonna be the worst employee. We're gonna have fun. It's like that little meme of the little girl saying, are you gonna be the problem or are you going to be the solution? And this little pretty girl says, I'm gonna be the whole problem. And that's what Lorinda Elaine was doing. Lorinda Elaine was not contributing to resolution. I am not her. That was just a place and a space and a time that I can willfully admit because I want to bring some people with me. I want to bring some people to the light. And I want to let you know I was in darkness. I was in darkness and I was treading the line. I was walking on that thin line, not speaking life into people, not speaking life into myself. And I was severing ties with people because it would be easier for them for me not to be around and them not to be around me for my great demise. Because slowly but surely, here I was, going. And then God kicked me in the head and he wasn't done with me yet. No, he wasn't done with me yet. And I can sit here before you and say, I thought he was done. I thought God was done and finished. I said, oh well, I'll see you on the other side. And he forgave me. So when you look at what I spoke about, and I call it commitment pie, when you look at your commitments to yourself, I suggest breaking it down like a pie and having one slice for your physical routine, another slice for your mental routine. The third slice would be your emotional routine. The fourth slice would be your spiritual routine. And the fifth slice would be your financial routine. So, in all those areas of health, you got five. Here we go. You can put it in any order that you like: spiritual, financial, mental, emotional, physical. And you have the whole pie. And I call it commitment pie because I have a pie chart that I use for my one-on-one advocacy meetings. But in that commitment pie, you choose to have a slice of pie a day. And this is the type of pie that doesn't give you calories. So if you take two slices, if you if you find things to improve your physical health and your financial health on the same day, you just ate two slices of pie in one day. And you don't get the calories of a normal pie in the physical, but you get the benefit of restructuring your life one piece of pie at a time. So you might have to have a pie a day for 365 days, but this commitment pie is going to benefit you so much because you're going to take a slice. You're going to address your physical concerns. For me, I started cooking more for myself. I stopped eating out as much. And you can thank your delivery drivers for that because some of them did not treat my food well. And after a while of complaining to Uber Eats and Grubhub and any other app that I was using, after I kept getting refunds, I was like, why am I even ordering? People are not showing up to work over there. They showing up to throw stuff in a bag. People are delivering my food and dropping it on the floor, leaving it in front of my apartment. Why would I order food for you to put it in front of my apartment door? Why won't you wait for me to open the door and receive it so at least I don't have that disgusting transaction of picking up a bag of food off of my mat in the hallway where people have trampled over my. Yes, I started cooking more for myself. And over the course of 6 months, I can say in maintaining better eating habits, my nutrition started to improve and I started to lose a few pounds. Yeah, I did. Look at me now. Ta ha, ta ta ta, ta ta. I don't look like what I've been through. Now, my financial helps, it scared me because I took a lot of L's. I made a lot of bad investments, and those investments, you invest in other people's dreams, and then it doesn't pan out. You don't get a return. It's like when the stock market plummets. You'll see your financial risks weren't worth what you thought they were worth. So when I turned around and I tried to redeem some points with the people who I invested in, they left me hanging, but it's okay because I don't deal with that slice of pie every day because it gives me anxiety. So I deal with that slice of pie, that financial health, I deal with that sparingly. I don't, I know what I need to pay and I don't let it overburden me. I don't let it overburden me. Mental health, emotional health, they go hand in hand for me because I have managed and sometimes mismanaged um, my anxiety disorder. I have been diagnosed with general anxiety as well as social anxiety. And over the course of the Great Shutdown, I developed what is known as agoraphobia. Now, agoraphobia is when you pretty much close off yourself to anything and everything that makes you anxious. So, a lot of people will not leave the house because of agoraphobia, or when they leave the house, it has to be fully planned out and not leave a lot of room for anxiety inducing detours, right? So, what that means for me is if I really, really need something, and for me, I weigh. the cost of ordering things versus going to pick them up. Um, if I really, really need something and I have to go out the house, it's going to be a targeted trip. I'm going to do as much as what makes sense and as short a in as short a time span as possible. So what that means is I might have a triangle. So when I leave home, I go to point A, I go to point B, and I come back home. And I try to do it rather quickly. So what could be someone's 3 hour enjoyment is probably no more than an hour and a half from point A and back. So I developed this agoraphobia because of my anxiety dealing with people. Um, was very difficult for me when I had my mental health crisis, right? Um, Also being a germaphobe and having suffered from the virus, those impacted me very much so. So a lot of time I would just bring what I needed to my home. Hey boo. So I stopped really socializing, and any socialization that I did, it was because someone came to me either to pick me up and drop me off somewhere or help me run my errands and things like that. And then I have my spiritual connection. So I've been working on my spiritual health. I have chosen to do this sober. That's another thing. I began to overindulge in the wine and spirits. So I can tell you that July 2022, after we had to let my first G baby go, my grandbaby, we had to um, we had to let her go in June of 2022, and her funeral was July 2022. And I made a conscious decision to walk away from everything and seek help in a wellness facility. And I wasn't really sure if I was going to live through that. A lot of people are grieving, and I want you to know that grief looks different for everyone, but it's necessary for you to give it the time and go through all of the phases of grief in order to come to a point in which you can accept a loss so great, especially if it almost takes you out. And that loss almost took me out. That's when I can say that I had to reconnect spiritually in order to walk through that. I need a minute. Let me just turn the camera off for a second. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. This is real life. Let me talk through this. Let me talk through this. So this is a real life experience that is going to help somebody. So I'm not going to turn the camera off, but I am gonna I'm gonna breathe for a second. Okay. There was so much hope enveloped in, thank you. There was so much hope enveloped in this new life. In December 2021, my son and his then girlfriend came to me and they told me through a card that says, Happy almost birthday, Grandma. So the holidays have really been a very hard time for me before losing my granddaughter, before losing my nugget. I call her Nugget. I called her Nugget. She left and she knew me even in the short time that we had her on earth. Um, Now she's my nugget in paradise. So there was so much hope um, wrapped up in her little 5 pounds some ounces body, right? As she as she continued to grow in utero in her mother's belly, I would always place my hands on her and I would say, "Hey, Nugget, it's me, it's Gma," right? And she would start moving, and she would start moving, and it would give me hope, hope that I had lost, hope that I hadn't fully reclaimed. But I started to reclaim hope. And in 2022, I felt like all hope was lost. I was angry with God. I didn't think it was fair. And I knew that I had been good. I had been better than other people who now had their babies or their grandbabies. And I felt like it was a real personal attack on me. So in July 2022, I went to the funeral. Some people will tell you the story of how I showed up late, but it's my story to tell. And I showed up late because I could barely pull myself together. I just want to set the record straight on that. I showed up late because I could barely pull myself together. And the next day, I went to a wellness facility. No, the next day, I called a wellness facility. And the following day, they picked me up and they took me in for treatment. And that was when I still wasn't sure that I would stay on this earth. My story, my words. I still was not sure that I would stay on this earth. Thank God I made it. Never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see that God was there for me and I am stronger. I'm so much stronger now. But that was not an easy path. I felt that God had abandoned me in my time of need. And it's and you know when you look at your life through a particular lens, so when you look at loss, right? You're going to see loss after loss after loss after loss after loss after loss because you're just looking at losses. So when I was looking at her loss or losing her rather, I was looking at losing her, losing my favorite mentor to brain cancer. I was looking at losing people in my life who were supposed to be friends. I was looking at leaving this job as a loss, leaving that job as a loss, as opposed to looking at gains, turning those losses. Why was I looking at this? Why was I looking at leaving a job in 2014 because of unfair treatment as a loss? That was a win. I had some self esteem. I had some confidence about me. I knew I was worth more than that. It wasn't a loss, really, but it was the way that I was looking at it. I was looking at life as if my spiritual journey, God kept putting me in situations that made me uncomfortable. And then I was mad at him. I was mad at him when he took my grandbaby. All the hope and dreams and aspirations that I had for this little bundle of joy, oh, boy, was I wrong. Because my spiritual walk had become more like, thank you, God, for this day. Let me be the best. No, that's not what I said. I didn't say, let me be the best me. That's my prayer now. My prayer now is, let me be the best me that I can be. But before, I was like, thank you for another day. What trouble am I going to get into? Who am I going to call? Who's available to me now? My prayer probably saddened my God, right? My prayer probably was like, to his ears, whining. I was whining a lot instead of saying, thank you, God, that I get to do something. Thank you, God, that I get to go to work today. Thank you, God, that I get to show up today and tell this story and help somebody who may be grieving, who may have had a loss that hit as hard as the one that hit me. Thank you, because I might be pulling somebody through. Now my prayer life is different than it was in 2021. It's much different than it was in 2022. But I needed that time. I needed that time. Thank you, boo. Everybody's my boo. We go together real good. We go together real good over here. I love it. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. So, all in all, between July 2022 and October 2023, God continued to show his glory. God continued to show favor. And I've been blessed and highly favored. And I know that's something that people like, oh, that's just a cliche. No, 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 no. It's a cliche, but it's also the truth. Because in 2022, October 14th to be exact, a sugar baby was born. So Nugget has a little sister here on earth, and I call her sugar baby. And I can smile about it, even though I've never held her in my arms. I hold it in my heart. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. They won't bring me the baby, but it'll be okay. I know that I will continue to be the best me, and God's favor is upon me. Yes, it can be a blessed journey. Grief can blind you to many things. It'll have you feeling, I mean, grief, the stages of grief, right? They don't come in a way that is, it's not consecutive, right? So they say there are 5 stages of grief, right? They say there is, let me see if I can get these right. They say there's depression, anger, denial, something, and acceptance. Do y'all know? Let me know in the chat. There's denial, oh, bargaining. So there's denial, there's bargaining, there's depression, anger, and acceptance. And sometimes we rush to acceptance, right? Because we've not really been given the tools to go through all the stages, right? Sometimes our anger engulfs us, right? And sometimes we're bargaining. I remember showing up to the hospital when my nugget was on life support, basically hooked up to many machines, and I remember crying out to God, please, give these doctors the resources. You be our doctor. You are our healer, dear God. I remember crying and bargaining and being in denial that this was going to happen, that we would really have to let this baby grow go. And we would not be blessed to see this baby grow as she represented so much in our lives. So I had already experienced before I went into treatment, before I went to the wellness facility that gave me the other tools that I needed. I had already been in denial, and I had already done the bargaining in that hospital room with my head next to hers. But I hadn't come to acceptance fully because I kept going from acceptance to anger, acceptance to depression. Depression was trying to take me out. And so, in the weeks between when we had to let her go and when her parents decided to to have the funeral, because she had come a week and a half or 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks early, and she was a great birth weight, and there was no reason in my mind why she shouldn't have the benefit of staying. But I'm not, I'm just Gma. Gma thinks everything is possible, and there was no way that they should have taken my baby. Um, so in that 2 week span, I had already done being a lot of bargaining and being in denial in that 3 day span, excuse me, when she was between when she was born and when we had to let her go. I had done all the bargaining I could do. I had been in denial for as long as I could be in denial because it happened. We had to let her go, right? So now the next part was harder because I had to wait about a week and a half for the funeral. And during that time, depression got me to the point where I reached out to one of my sister friends, and I was just in a state of, I don't know how I can live with this because God should have taken me. If anything, I'm done. Um, I had no hope for myself, and I was at this place where I was a hollow shell of myself. So, all in all, upon hearing that, my sister friend calls the police and she initiates a wellness check because when she called me back, I didn't answer the phone. I will forever love her for that because I know that it was it was not far-fetched to have the police department issue a wellness check. It was not far-fetched because of the level of grief I expressed. Um, However, when they got here, after I gave them a piece of my mind, um, they left me. Uh, and they said, she's lucid. She's not going to do any harm to herself or anyone. And they went on about their business. So, with that being said, how you handle your grief, please handle it with yourself and with a diversified support network. Don't handle it in the streets. Don't take it out on people. Everybody has their own level of capacity for these things, and maybe uh, it's time to reach for some professional help. If I can be of any help, of course, I always offer my services. I'll put the link tree in the description when we finish this live. And yeah, there are a lot of people who are grieving, and the external factors, the way that there's the war in Israel, the way that there is um, political treason, and the way that there is all of these external factors, things that we don't have any control over. it's time to turn inward. It's time to start working on yourself to ease out some of that aggression, ease out some of the fear, iron out some wrinkles within yourself so that you have more capacity, you have more patience. So now you have more patience when you fill that gap with love and compassion and empathy. And then we can move forward. And then we can move forward. Would anyone like to come up? Would anyone like to come up? I dropped the link so you can come up if you choose. Or I don't know if I missed any questions because I have to look over here and the light is blinding. So let me know. I don't look like what I've been through. All right. So it looks like I've been going on and on. Um, and I hope that this has helped somebody. And please, oh, I have a question. Okay. Boundary setting. Boundary setting is so important to self care. And some of us, I would say, especially those of us who are the responsible parts of our family and friend group, we are the compassionate members of our family and friend group. We may bear the biggest weight. Oh, oh, I have a Miss Tess. Is it Tess? To add to the stage, I want you to come up and we'll talk about boundary setting and whatever you want to talk about. Come on up. You
Can
don't.
you hear me?
Oh, hey, you. Yes, I can hear
Mm,
you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. How are you today? Merry.
I'm getting yourself.
I'm okay. I'm doing this here thing, you know?
I see, I see. Listen, as you were speaking about grief, right? So many things went through my head because, I kind of keep a lot of stuff to myself.
Okay.
And, you know, um, like I lost my mom in 2017. I lost my
My
brother.
condolences.
Like
Right.
just as
It's hard. It's hard.
yes, and first let me give you my condolences because I didn't know about your grandbaby to that extent.
Oh,
And
thank you so much.
and I don't focus on them not being here. Like
Right.
sometimes I give my other relatives a hard time when the holidays come and
Okay.
and they can't function or they have a difficult time because my mom is not here or any other relative for that matter. And
Okay.
for me, I handle grief like just inward. I just keep it to myself. I don't focus on them not being here. And
Right.
I think for me, it helps in the moments.
Right.
But when I sit and I'm by myself and I'm
Mhm.
actually reflecting, it weighs a lot more than I give it credit. You know,
Yeah.
so in a way, I apologize to all my relatives because I give them a very hard time. You
And when
know,
you say you give your relatives a hard time, do you mean how? Well, let me ask a question. When you say you give your relatives a hard time, do they bring up um, people who have gone and you tell them stop talking about it? Like what exactly do you say? Do you feel that you're
okay, so
dismissive?
let's just
Mhm.
focus on one. My mom, right? My mom was
Okay.
prior to passing. My mom was studying to be a Jehovah Witness. Which,
Okay.
most witnesses don't celebrate holidays for their
Right.
belief.
Right.
So my mom had kind of retreated on the holidays. The only one she wouldn't give up is Mother's Day because she earned that one. That was her,
Okay.
right? So
Right.
like when the holidays come, Christmas, Thanksgiving, my mom's birthday was in October. So we go from October all the way to the new year. with my relatives like saying, "Oh, I can't function. I don't know what to do." And I'm always like, "Well, I don't understand why the holidays hurt them so much." Because
Right.
my mom wasn't celebrating the holidays the last few years of her life. So we
Okay.
already kind of got conformed, meaning like
Okay.
she didn't do Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
However, we still did. You know what I mean? We didn't go to
Right.
her house for Thanksgiving, but we still got together as a family at someone else's or even at a restaurant. We did different things. We still celebrated the holidays without her presence. So now that she's not here in the physical sense, when
Mhm.
they say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't function. Mommy's not here," I'll say something like, "Suck it up." Like, honestly, because like I said, and listening to you make me realize you know I'm educated, I'm well rounded, I have a
Right.
very diverse family, religion, race, all of that, and I
Okay.
try to be that person that my mother created us all to be. However, when it comes to death in particular, I don't focus on it. Like, I kind of
Right.
act like it ain't. Like, I live in Brooklyn, she lived in the Bronx. In my mind, she's still there.
Right. Right.
However,
And
I
yes.
transferred to the Bronx and I hadn't been
Yes.
there working in the Bronx. I hadn't been to the Bronx, my neighborhood, in years since my mom passed.
Okay.
And I went through a little mental break. And when I went and got some help, they felt that the environment that I put myself back in was
Okay.
making it hard for me to function at work. Two different things, but it
Right.
was in the same community, my childhood community, meaning that if my mom was alive every day for lunch, I'd have walked up the block.
Oh, okay.
Good or
Right.
bad, I could have walked up the block and had a glass of wine. You understand? But
Right.
I didn't have that relief when things would go bad for me at work. Never,
Right.
never equated the two until I stepped out and
Right.
got some help. Just talking help, like, hey. But
Yeah.
when it comes to, so like I said, that's why I would apologize to my relatives because I do give them a hard time. Like, I suck it up. It ain't like you think. But it's because my brain has put death someplace else.
If there's a barrier that you've created, it's kind of a
Exactly.
coping mechanism that you've
Exactly.
created. Right. And I thank you so much for coming up and sharing this part of your story. It's really enlightening for me as well, because I can see, I so appreciate how you apologize to your family now.
Because I can
But
give them a very hard time. But however, listening to your story made me
oh,
reflect on my feelings and how I cope with it.
right,
And
right,
it's just not with
exactly.
my mom. I cope with it with everybody. If you ask me anything about my brothers, I can talk about them for hours. However, I don't reflect on them not being here.
Right, right. So you still, you see, what I really love about everybody's differences in how they deal with grief is
Hmm.
that we can pick and pull pieces to help us. It's kind of like we can use this as some glue and tape on our hearts, right? So when you look at it now, when you're standing and taking accountability, because you're like, well, I gave them a hard time because I deal with it this way, but now hearing Lorinda say how she dealt with it, it gives me
Hmm.
another perspective. So now you're open actually to other perspectives, and this is a great point for you to have that conversation with the most pending relatives, like the ones that you feel like you gave a hard time, because everyone doesn't get to it as quickly. I'll tell you another part of my story. I lost my dad when I was 15 years old, and the anniversary of his death, December 5th, was 29 years. I didn't really grieve his death until in 2022 when I went for treatment, because I had to deal with the grief of losing my first grandbaby, right? So in dealing with that, I realized now, as a grown woman, looking at how I behaved throughout the holidays, because it was December. It went from Halloween, Thanksgiving, his anniversary of his death, Christmas, New Year, my birthday, his birthday, right? So all of that I had to really stop myself from the avalanche, right? So even in this year, I can tell you it came and went. There were waves of grief, but then I was able to unwrap some of the pain. Some of us have wrapped pain around those memories, right? So it's kind of like well, I'll say like an analogy. I like food. So if you ever do a chicken shish kebab wrapped with bacon, right? And you put it in the oven and it overcooks, that bacon is real crispy, right? And there's some burnt pieces around it. That's kind of how I envision what I had to do with unwrapping the pain from the memories of my father. It was so burnt in there, right? I had left it in the oven for so long that I had to take apart some of that pain in order to really like now I can smile because I can envision him smiling at me, you know? So some people, the holidays are very challenging because there's pain wrapped around what should be a joyous event. You hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Oh, okay, good. So you have any response to that?
Well, like I said, I just try to, like I said, I keep a lot of things to myself. Because I don't like to feel some kind of way. So I will always try to not focus on what's making me feel bad and always try to make myself feel better. And I don't reflect on things the same way because I just look at things that hurt me. I try not to let things hurt me because all it's going to do is put me in a funk, right? And eventually you got to crawl out of it. You still got to live. You still got to eat. You still got to pay bills. You still got to go to work.
Yeah.
So life still has to go on, right?
Right.
So that's where the suck it up come from, like suck
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
It's like you said, you don't have time or you don't make time when you should, right? We should make
Yeah.
time for everything. We make time for the bad stuff, so we should make time for the good stuff, right?
Yes, we should.
So
Such
I
true
appreciate
words.
you definitely sharing today, at least coming
Oh,
on, and I'm enjoying the topic very much because it does give me, and I told you I went to counseling and I still needed to be able to reflect on something that maybe I didn't bring up so much in counseling.
right. That
You
can
know?
happen too. Definitely, as an advocate, I always recommend being honest with your counselor, being honest with your therapist, because if this comes up, the the greatest thing is being able to talk about it because you start to unwrap some pain, right? So
Hmm.
you start to let go of some pain, and then you start getting the nice tender moments of that, you know. So
Yes.
now I for so long I would dedicate my dad's date, his date of death. I would I would really spend the day grieving, thinking that that was what I was supposed to do. But
Mm.
not until last year did I realize that I had so much pain wrapped around his memory. The fact that he wasn't there to protect me. Like I would always say, like, if my daddy was here,
This
this
what
wouldn't be
happened.
happening. You see what I'm saying? And I don't put so much weight on my daddy that nobody measures up. Nobody can stand beside me because my daddy would have did this, you know?
Yes, I
So
do.
and look, I be like with the partners that I've had, oh no, this ain't nothing like my daddy. So, but now with my relationship with God, now I really say y'all don't measure up because God is amazing. But so it,
Amen.
it just changes things. Yeah, it just
Listen,
changes
I
things.
I have I think it's like it's a real big poster. We had a memorial dinner one year for my mother because everybody was hurting so much. So we did it, like I said, because her birthday's in October. We had
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, Christmas, and she died in January. So we try to do something where everybody could get together. Even the
right.
people that practice or don't, it was just a memorial dinner. So I have a poster of my mother in my living room.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, all the kids got a copy. So
Yeah.
um people say all the time, oh, I wish my mom was here, that I could talk to her all the time. So something happened at work, and I went and I stood in front of the picture, and I was like, do I really need you here now? And in my
Right.
head, I can hear my mother saying, for what? You know what I'm gonna say? Look, I said, listen, and no lie, my brain said, for what? You know what I'm gonna say? And I was like,
Exactly.
honestly, I said, you always got to be a smart ass. And I walked away from the picture because exactly I know what she would tell me.
Right,
Right?
right,
Do I really need her here to say it? Like, do I really need
right,
it? You know?
right.
And
And
it
that
actually made me feel better, and I went and did what I
I
was
was gonna
supposed to do.
say those moments now that you can laugh about them, now that it's
Yeah.
kind of preemptive where you know what they're gonna say and you can relish in that joy of having the time that you've had with them. So
Hmm.
it makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. Yeah. So do you want to stay up? I want to
Bring
bring
them up.
Dami up.
Sure, I'm gonna
Okay.
just mute my mic so y'all can talk.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you. We having
No problem.
conversations.
Yes, I'll enjoy them.
Heal and enjoy the life you want to live. That
Okay.
is what I'm doing. Dami, I'm bringing you up to the stage. Hello, Dami. You there?
Hey, can you hear
Hey,
me?
darling. I can hear you. Is there an echo? Say it again.
Hey, no, I don't think there's an echo.
Oh, I hear you just have a soft voice. Look at you. Make me want to calm my voice down. How can I get there?
Uh,
I'm just gonna be silly. All right, Dami. What did you want to say? Welcome and Merry Christmas. Firstly, let me just welcome you and say Merry Christmas to you. So I am ready to hear what you have to add or any questions you have.
I wanted to say thank you to you
Oh,
too. Um, just for sharing and bringing the conversation to light, because these are hard conversations, and I know
yes.
for me it's hard to be vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
navigating the holidays. It has just been really stressful, and when
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about grief, it really made me think about my grandma and how she was the glue
Mm-hmm.
to the family, and Christmases and Thanksgiving and things just haven't been the same um without her. And it made me think about like maybe how my family is processing her death still,
Okay.
and to be more cognizant of that, because I feel like I overcompensate to maintain her memory.
Okay.
And since losing our dad this year,
Mm-hmm.
bringing the family together is something that I wanted to do, no matter the cost to my mental health, or to my
Mm. And
um
my condolences, because you have a double impact because the matriarch, your grandmother, is how long has it been since she's departed Earth?
7 years now.
7 years, and then your father recently departed from us.
Yeah.
Okay, my condolences. Yeah, those are two great big losses. And the holidays, while we like to smile and be cheerful and we celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and any other, higher power celebrations that go on, it's the holidays is supposed to be it's been built in our culture to be a sense of togetherness and merriment, and it's really hard for some people because you are in a sense mourning the loss of big figures, especially a matriarch who was the glue, as you said, to your family. And I saw you drop the question in the chat, how do you maintain boundaries? I was going to get to that, but do you mean in how would you wait, was that no, that was
Yeah,
another person, was
that
that
was me.
that was your question? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I recognized it. Okay, I see the difference. Your name is Dami. Okay, so we calling you Dami right now.
I
So was
only have
that in relation to boundary setting during the holidays because of the grief, or is that something different?
I would say both. Like in relation to like definitely in relation to grief, because I feel like when the family unit is just broken and like you're trying to repair that and rebuild it, it's really really challenging. Um, and I feel like I'm at a different point in life
Okay.
where it's like my family feels like they cannot have conversations, like important conversations. Like they can just violate somebody and then like hang out with them afterwards. Um,
Well, they might be, listen to what you're saying. It's just what I said earlier about my family. You are grieving, and like you said, you lost two very important people to your family dynamics. You're hurting, and your grandmother passed 7 years ago. Do
yeah,
you realize how the other members are feeling? You may want to keep doing things that reminds you of your grandma, but it hurts them to keep doing those things. So it's just like Lorinda was saying to me, is the grief process is definitely different for
hmm,
everyone, and they just may not be where you are. And if you're trying to mend it, you can't do it by yourself, sweetie. You need a few more members to be in line with you, or not 100%, but
I
just
love
in
that.
line so that y'all can get to a place where everybody's comfortable. And the truth is, you're never going to be happy with the matriarch gone, because that's why she was the matriarch. You
yeah,
I
don't
love
usually see
that.
people who can replace the matriarch. We try, but it's very hard to fill those shoes. That is one person in every family that is very hard to replace. They did so much for so many different generations. You
yeah,
sound very young. So that tells me your grandmother was doing a lot. And that's what
Right.
everybody depend on. We put everything on her shoulders. She did everything, got everybody together, kept everybody happy. No one ever thinks who's going to pick it up. But she was teaching it to everyone so that you can all do it collectively in her absence. And we just don't realize it. You understand? But if you sit down, like you said, they can, that's who they are. You know, they can get at people and move on and still socialize with them. That says they don't hold grudges. Get them together. We'll talk about it. Listen, a lot of time frame when y'all together as a family. 20 minutes, everybody share one good thing about grandma, one good thing
Right.
about daddy, and move on so that
Yeah.
everybody can start healing. You just got to see you hurting 7 years. If in my family, it was my mother. If you was my niece or my cousin, it's still my mother. Your hurt and my hurt is going to be different.
Right.
What I feel the loss of my mother, I definitely can tell you her grandkids are definitely hurting way more because I have more time with her. You
Right. Right.
understand? And I listened to my niece. My niece was very close to my mother. They went
yeah.
to the same doctors.
Aw,
Very, just so that my niece could go with my mother. She changed her doctors, and they used to go to the same doctors, make the same appointments. When I'm hurting, I reach out to her. Because I know if I'm hurting, and that was my mother, that was her grandmother, however, her best friend,
Right.
she's hurting way more than me. You
And sometimes
understand? So
those grandkids will give
huh?
yeah,
they sometimes the grandkids who are under the matriarch will be the more compassionate ones
Mhm,
because they've been able to study at the grandma's feet, or they've been
mhm,
able to study at the matriarch's feet, right? It's a there's a saying because my family is from the South and they call them a knee baby, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
the knee baby is the one who benefits from all the grandma's movements, right?
yeah,
Um, or all of their mom's movements, but a lot of times it was the grandma as whoever the matriarch, as the matriarch, right? And I certainly love how you brought that around, Tess. I love how you brought that around because it sounds to me like Dami is having a lot of pressure because she saw what her grandmother did and how she was the glue, and now she's looking to mend things, but you're in a different lane, right?
Mhm.
So it's like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves around the holidays for that joyfulness and that merriment and that togetherness. But in fact, you're at a place where your relationship is different from the relationship that your grandmother had with you and your siblings, or even
Your
your
mom and dad.
mom. Yeah, for your mom and dad. So right now you're looking for that connection, and you may be it, but it
That
may not be time
that's
in
what I
for
was
'cause-
thinking the whole time, Lorinda, that
right. It's
she
like
is
you,
going to be the
because
next matriarch. And she
exactly, but
doesn't
you
even
have
know it
to.
yet. She
She
don't
doesn't
even know
even
it
know
yet.
it. So
Yeah.
yes, you
Yeah,
you
that's exactly
are.
what I was thinking. She's gonna be the
Yeah,
next glue to keep everybody. Where we going to D house? That's what it's going
exactly.
to be. She don't even realize it yet. She don't even realize it. Look at full circle.
Right. Full circle. And it may not be today. And that's one thing about grief, is that you have to give everybody processes things in their own timing, because
Mhm.
it may be like, for instance, my brother and I, we both lost our dad at young ages, right? But the grief part, he does things differently than I do. My observation of my father's death, we used to call each other, or we used to, when we lived in the same house, I could see I stayed home and he went out to avoid the thought of it. There was always a party or somebody's house he was going to on that day, right? And then as we got older, he would do it. We wouldn't observe the day together. One day I went. My father's buried in Calverton Cemetery. He was a veteran, and one day I had a friend of mine take me up to the cemetery, because I just really needed to see it from an adult point perspective, you know, and that was something that I would have liked to do with my brother, but his timing and my timing were different, and his way of observing that day was different from what I wanted to do, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So with that said, Dami, that's what I really think. It's okay to set boundaries, because you need a protective wall in which you can remain yourself, right? And you can observe these grievances on your own, because you sound like you're very um you're very
Connected.
willing to work. Yeah, you're connected to them in a way that it can hurt you, because you're trying to pull them forward, and they don't want to come with you right now. You know,
Mhm.
it's like, it's so when you put that protective barrier up, you're protecting yourself from hurting. You're protecting yourself from being pulled too many directions, because you want them all to come forward, but they're not ready yet. You know?
But take the ones that are. There's some younger ones that's ready. It's some ones your
Right.
age. You got some cousins that's ready, that's seen the same thing in grandma. And if you don't have, there's got to be one other person that was just attached to her as much as you was. Y'all can make a dish every holiday that you get together with the people that don't seem like they grieving. Everybody
Yeah.
handles it differently. And if I was a member of your family, I wouldn't be the person sitting around crying and sulking, because that's not who I am. No, I'm
Yes.
not. Remember, I just told her I tell my relatives to suck it up.
Yes.
However,
And
if they want to do something that honor my mother, we can do it all day long. Like my mother loved to dance. My mother loved to play
Yeah.
music. That's what we do
right.
when we get together. Ain't nobody sitting down.
Right.
Everybody's dancing. We playing all her favorite family songs and all of that, because it's something we all can relate to. And no one is sitting around moping and crying. You might feel like that in the very beginning, but by the halfway through, everybody's good. And you're going to be the person that do it. You young, you got the energy. Come on. Y'all can start making what grandma. I know it's one dish that everybody loved that she made. Y'all can go in there and practice. Ain't nobody gonna make it like her, but y'all can try. Make it a family
Right.
event. I mean, it's just things you can do to lighten the mood. I try these things with my family members too. However, I'm still that person that say suck it up. You understand? Because I don't want to sit around and be depressed. And I try to remind my relatives that my mother wouldn't appreciate us sitting around crying.
Right.
Because that's not
Right.
who she raised us to be. She raised us all to be strong, men and women.
Yeah.
So you
And
got to
over
think of it like
time,
that.
yeah, and over time, pretty much you may not have to say suck it up to not any person there, because they will have gotten through it with knowing that that's what that let me not even shed a tear, because Tess ain't gonna have it. So let me just get to bopping. Let me just get to moving. All right, then fine. I'm not gonna cry, but I'm mad at you, and I'm getting through it, you know?
Right. And here's what I'm gathering from this. I won't be saying suck it up to them. And I will honor their feelings and realize their feelings is just as real as mine. Because in the moments I really wasn't focusing on that. I was like, in my head, I'm thinking like they want to sit around and cry all day. I didn't come here for that.
I'm gonna do a victory dance on this sound. What? What?
Exactly.
What? She
And
said
that's
she gonna
why.
stop saying suck it up. What? What?
Yes, yes,
What?
yes,
What?
right? Because it ain't benefiting me in any way, right? To
Right,
tell them to
right,
suck it up. And to them, it might be making it seem like I'm diminishing their feelings to how they felt about my mom, even though that's not it.
right,
Right.
I'm diminishing it because I don't want to be in that funk. That's why I'm diminishing it. But when you the person that's the
right.
receiver, you're not thinking that. And that's what based off of this conversation we're having, is what making me realize I need to definitely, when I get together with them again, I will say it to all of them. I apologize for telling them to suck it up because their feelings are real. When I'm in
And
my feelings, I don't
honestly,
really care about nobody else's. But like I said, I'm
right. But
listening. I'm listening.
that's that's a very emotionally intelligent response, because
Yeah.
you take it something, and I'll be honest with you, my response to overwhelm is sometimes tears, right? When I'm really
Mm,
overwhelmed, it has to escape somehow, some way. Now, some people, they yell. Some people just,
mm,
just go in the bathroom and or put the pillow to their face and yell. So, and we all have a different way of letting out the unwanted emotions,
mm-hmm.
and the tears may be just uncontrollable because they don't have the tools to process it a different way, or they can't tell you because they don't even understand that it just overwhelms them,
Right, right,
so, and it could be, the tears could be coming from a happy memory, and they have a little pain attached to it, right?
right.
Because then maybe they didn't say what they wanted to say. Maybe they didn't feel like they were their best self at the time when that person was passing, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes I say, like, my dad went too soon. If only he could see me now, like, what would he say and how would he do? So now at this mature stage over 40, I can say, Daddy, I know you proud of me because you saw what I came from. You
That's
saw how
right.
I did that. Did you see what I just did? Did you see that, Daddy?
That's
So
right. That's it.
now it's a different conversation in maturity, right?
Yes, yes.
So everybody has to reach it. And when I say it took me 20 something years, I thought I had grieved. I thought I processed it, but it came back up and hit me again a different way. You know?
Hmm,
So
hmm.
I'm so proud of the steps that we can make. And I'm so glad we could be big sisters to Dami and give her some advice, you know?
Listen, listen, and listening from her perspective also gives a little insight because she's from the younger generation, right? And
We're bridging gaps right now.
and
We're
and
bridging
and
gaps.
definitely, she's telling us what all the kids are thinking, the ones that won't put down their phones.
Right, right.
You understand? Because and when my family members get together, my brother confiscates everybody's phone. Why? Because
Oh,
everybody's sitting next to each other, but they texting
but
instead
why
of
you texting?
talking.
Exactly. Why
So
you texting?
when we at
Mm,
his house, he confiscates your phone. So for the first hour, everybody's pissed because they don't
right.
have their phones. But it forces everybody to talk to each other.
Yes,
And it is
yes.
just he just do it just to say, hey, we stay on the
Right.
electronics too much.
Exactly.
And listen, in the beginning, I laughed because he ain't take my phone. He took the kid's phone. But it forces all the other adults to put their phones away as well,
Right.
so that we are communicating. And before you know it, we are having a great time. Hours don't went by. We playing games, getting
Right.
better, getting along. Nobody's arguing, no one's fighting, and we're not in the electronics.
And that's
So
listen,
it does
sometimes you
it
gotta
does
create
fit.
those things.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate her being on. But I think she's gonna be the next matriarch of her family. So you
Yeah.
definitely gotta keep doing this so she can stay on and let us know how she
That's the
doing.
what happens, right?
Yes, definitely.
We
Definitely. You
want
gotta keep this
updates.
going.
We
Yes.
want updates, but because it doesn't have to be, it may not be this year. We have another week and a half, right, until the new
Yeah.
year. But in this time, you start taking steps and kind of guiding them and preparing them for when y'all have a get together, and that's what I think. Um, for me, I stopped putting so much weight on the day as
Yes.
much as the season. And then there's next season. There is winter, spring, summer, fall. We got
Mhm.
seasons, right? And
Mhm.
not everybody blooms on the first week of
You're right.
spring. Some trees bloom in the winter. Some trees
Mhm.
bloom in the spring. Some trees,
Don't
their
them
leaves
cherry
fall in the
blossoms
summer.
come out in May?
Right, exactly. Yeah, things like that. So we are all flowers and we are all blooming and going up and down and going through all the seasons. So yeah, it might be hard today, especially, but I'm so glad that y'all were brave enough to come and join me on stage. I'm so glad that y'all were in the audience and making me feel worthy. I'm telling you, I was scared. I'm like, oh, nobody's gonna show up. I'm gonna be talking to myself, which I did, and that was fine.
You
And
wasn't
I'm
talking
still
to
here.
yourself. We was listening. I didn't know how to do it. I was like, "What's she talking about?" Then I went back to the thing and I saw the link and I clicked it because when you were saying, I was like, "What is she talking about? Click what?"
Yeah.
You act like this is everybody do social media. I'm on social media a little bit, not a lot of
Listen,
it.
I listen. I am learning too. So trust me. I thought I was saying something, and I thought I was putting it in the chat. I was not. Listen. I had to get this thing together too. So I have to practice some more and um
But
and
we'll
and get this
practice
thing
with you.
together.
We'll
I
practice
love
with
it.
you. I'm
I
sure
love
Dee
it.
know how to do all of this, but you know.
I'm gonna need her to listen. We're gonna be offline talking, Miss Her,
Well,
so,
I
so
appreciate
I
both
can
of
get
you.
some help.
Thank
I,
you.
I definitely appreciate both of you. The topic was awesome. And listen, it is Christmas. I am home by myself. Hey,
Yes.
the system ain't working, so I can't work and make no money. So I
Okay.
definitely
But
came
it's good for you to
online.
take a break.
Well,
Yeah, it's
listen,
good for you.
I've been trying to do that. I work 7 days a week from 7:30 in
Oh,
the morning to 10 p.m., 7 days a
oh,
week. But
my
now
goodness.
I've been trying to focus not to do so much. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, take
Because
your time and live.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure you have
trying.
vacation time that you enjoy, but definitely
Yep.
breathe the fresh air and enjoy your time while you're here with us on Earth.
And
You
I love your
are
head
valuable.
wrap.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I was out here being Sojourner Truth and Madam C.J. Walker and Harriet Tubman. I'm trying to tell people we's free. We's free. It's a good place to be when you're being healed.
Listen, just don't play that other song. You know what I mean? That
Which one?
FREE.
Oh,
Oh.
oh, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
that
where I
one,
really
that one.
that's where I really get to dun dun dun
Well, they
dun.
wouldn't have
Dami,
bothered you that day if you was playing that.
it wouldn't have bothered me at all. And Dami probably she know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, of course. Y'all
She
have a
start
good one. It
going
was a
off.
pleasure talking to y'all.
Thank you for stopping
Enjoy the
by
rest of
and
your
let me.
Christmas. Hey,
Christmas.
you need to
Yes,
do this for New Year's.
I
Yes.
think I will.
Because
Y'all
I
my
want
people.
Dee to come on and tell us what she did with her family. I got a suggestion though. If y'all gonna get together for New Year's Eve, ask everybody to make a little dish, something grandma like.
Oh,
Aw.
that would be
That would
sweet. That would
And
be very
nobody
make
can
the
sweet.
make the
bread.
same thing. No two people can make the same thing. So give
Okay.
everybody something different to do. Like maybe with you, she used to make pies from scratch. You make a pie. Maybe with your
Hmm.
aunt, she used to do the baked macaroni and cheese. I don't know. Did
That
she do the potato
nice.
salad with raisins? I don't know. But but
Uh-oh.
you know what I'm saying? One person. Just everybody give them something small to do.
Yeah, you may have to assign tasks because they may not see the vision the way that you see the vision, right? So then you have the vision and you assign tasks and say, well, come this, you make the appointment, or you make the, the calendar invite, and then you say this is what the menu is, and I think you can do, they could choose, or you can choose for them.
Hey,
That's a great
listen, if
idea,
that's
Tess.
too much pressure, everybody wear grandma favorite color.
Yeah,
Listen,
I
Hey,
love
look at
that.
that.
do
Yes,
something that you know is not going to stress the other people out. Sometimes
that's a
cooking
wonderful idea.
do stress people out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
And I
sometimes it
got a
can.
real cheap idea for you. You got a big wall in your house. You can decorate it in silver and gold and do like a personalized cards to all your relatives. Write something in them. And if you had a relationship with your grandmother said something sweet to you about every member of your family. You can write on the card what your grandmother said about everybody and put it on the wall and call it the
That's
wall
so
of
great.
Grandma's Wall of Fame and let them pick their cards off. Put it in the envelopes and make it
They
look
can
nice.
take pictures against
Yeah.
against the
Listen,
backdrop if
something
they
very, and if you could spend less
yeah.
than $10 to decorate the whole wall. I don't even know how many people in your family, but I spent less than $10 and I did it with 75 people.
Oh
Oh
my.
wow, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I did something at work like that for Christmas because I
That's
can't
good.
afford to buy everybody something. So I had a
Right.
big wall. I decorated the wall just with some garland and two of those candy canes. And I took the directory home and I did a card for it was so hard because it's long to personalize a card for everybody for Christmas. And I
Right.
splashed them all on the wall and I called the wall the Christmas Wall of Fame. So people was like, hey,
Nice.
did I get something? Go look. If you was naughty or nice, it may not be nothing, but it was one up there for everybody. And if it was two
Yeah.
people with the same last name, I put their first initial on the outside of the card. And
Oh, that's
everybody
nice.
got a different Christmas saying. Everybody.
Oh,
Nobody ended up with the same two. That's why it was so hard and long. But I did it. I spent like $8.
oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I shop on a budget too, so
Eight.
that sounds good. That sounds doable.
Yeah. And listen, if
You
you
don't
go
have to be
right now,
expensive.
you listen, people still celebrating Christmas. You can go buy a whole bunch of blank cards and put them on the wall and fill them
Yep.
out. Go to the
You can buy
99
them
cent store.
tomorrow, after
Yeah, you might
Christmas
find
sale.
some stamps. Go look
Hmm.
in the novelty section. Something to say, I love you, happy holidays, something easy, breezy.
Right. It
You'd
doesn't
be
always have to
surprised.
be
No,
about
not at
you
all.
can buy the biggest gift and everything. Something sentimental is great to do. Just a
Hmm.
gift. I still have cards that I kept from people.
I keep
Yeah.
all my Christmas cards.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Listen,
something
it's funny
sentimental.
though, because you get to see who send you the same cards every year.
And I
Mhm.
try not to be that person.
Listen, it happens a lot with the Afrocentric cards, though.
Oh yes, yes.
That's fine, but if I get the same one 3 years in a row from the same person, I'm telling them. I'm like, hey, you need to switch it up. You need to switch it up.
As long as you tell them in love, that's
Because
a
one
good
year I took
one.
all my Christmas cards and I made a Christmas tree on the wall with them,
Hmm.
right? So now I get to see who gave me the cards again. Like, hey, stop that.
Oh.
Oh
It's
yes,
creative. It's
yes.
just something creative to do because I'm big
That's
about Kwanzaa. So I always
okay.
try to show the kids how to do something without spending a whole lot of money.
Nice. And we appreciate
Kwanzaa is about
you.
also unity and
Smart.
making things with your hands. Even though we're
Right.
not that creative, I keep paper and construction paper. Make me a card. That's it.
Yes.
Make me a
Yes.
card.
So
Do
happy
something.
Kwanzaa to you also, because that
Yes.
begins tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes,
And
baby. Yes.
yes, Coochie
Okay.
Chakalia. My brother used to always say Coochie Chakalia, Coochie Chakalia. That's
Listen, don't knock them. Don't knock
no,
them.
I don't. But he used to say that all the time. It's like Coochie Chakalia, Coochie Chakalia. That means collective. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is community building. So thank you
Yes,
so much. Thank you both for
you're
joining me.
welcome.
I'm gonna let y'all go, but y'all have any final words or final thoughts?
Have a good one and see you
And you too.
New Year's Day.
All right, then. Thank
All
you.
right.
I'll keep
New
you
Year's
posted.
at 12. We got a date, ladies.
We'll be
All
back.
right, that'd be good.
Okay?
Thank you
All
so
right. Y'all
much.
have a good
All right.
one. I'll chat with you later.
All right. You
Bye
too
bye.
now. Bye.
Bye.
And you, Tommy, any last words or thoughts or any questions?
I really like that idea of the
Food
Hall of
for thought, right? Yeah. Which one? The
but
wall?
yeah, or even like the tree. But I gotta pray. I gotta go. I gotta
I
go. To,
love how you say I gotta pray. I gotta call my God.
yeah, because like it's. I think the biggest thing that frustrates me the most about the dynamic of my family
Yeah.
is like also the thing that I'm most insecure about, ironically. And I didn't realize that until this conversation. Like, it's glaring that I'm insecure about it.
What's that? Tell me.
Like, I don't. It's different saying it for work, but like, you know, it's a lot harder when you're reunifying like after that like foster care experience.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I'm gonna go pray because I think this that adds to the stress of it as well.
Right. Okay.
But
Okay, well, listen, I'm glad that we could be your big sisters up here, and I am going to
yeah,
contact you offline because this is we are meant to do some work, and I want to help you heal. And I think that Tess really hit something on the head that you may be coming up as the next matriarch. You just have some things to recognize. It's like we do an assessment of our family, and we do triage. We help them the way that we can, and we help them heal to a place where we can continue to grow and not be hindered by them. Because that's one of the things that I've had to do with family and other situationships where I have to get to a point where I assess the situation. So in my assessment, sometimes it can be hurting, it can be hurtful, because I'm assessing the damage and I'm wondering, is this worth saving? you
yeah,
know so while you're at this point, we're going to help get you together so you can get them together. Okay.
yeah. I love how you
Well,
said
thank you.
like how you use the phrase of just like we're wrapped up in pain and now we're doing like the unwrapping part.
Right, and we don't even want to touch it. That crispy bacon, man, when you burn
Right?
bacon, you ever burn bacon and you try to salvage the little piece of, like, it's a tender piece right here in the middle, but you got to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. But I'm so glad that you joined. Thank you for your bravery and thank you for sharing. So I think we will do something New Year's. I'm looking forward to it. These are my people,
Yeah.
and
Maybe
we'll hopefully be building community here over time and helping people get healed.
you guys really opened the conversation. I really appreciate
I appreciate y'all.
it.
Y'all help open the conversation because sitting here talking to myself is really hard. I like to talk with the people. And next time, I hope you'll open your camera up and everything.
Yeah.
You'll be braver in that sense. And every step we take, like every day, we just commit to being the best that we can be and commit to improving on yesterday.
Amen.
Well, I'm gonna drop you down and I'll do a closing because I don't want to let this be too long. I see we going on 2 hours, which is, I mean, this is
It went by
commendable,
fast.
didn't it? Of course. So thank you so much again. I'm gonna drop you down. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and thank you if you're watching the replay. I just want to say Merry Christmas again to everyone. This has been an enjoyable part two. Rejection pushed me into my purpose, and thank you for my special guests popping in and being brave to share their insights and revelations and realizations. So I'm extremely grateful that we've gotten to this point. Now, I will put my link tree in the description as well as the links to my journals. You can buy the journals and give them out as gifts for the new year. Everyone should be setting their intentions. We're having mindful practices. We're meditating. We're healing. We're healing and enjoying the life we want to live. So we're not adding to the chaos outside. We're dealing with ourselves and we're making room for more. So thank you so much. I'm Lorinda Elaine. Thank you for joining me. Y'all have a blessed holiday season.